Long ago, in the misty highlands of Scotland, there lived a warrior whose courage was unmatched. His name was Macbeth. He was brave, loyal to his king, and admired by everyone. But hidden in the shadows of his heart was an ambition so fierce that, once awakened, it would consume him completely. This is not just the story of a man who became king, it is the story of how power, greed, and guilt can destroy everything. The beginning of the prophecy, the tale begins on a stormy night. Thunder roared, and lightning split the sky as three witches gathered on a lonely heath. They spoke in riddles, whispering of their plan to meet Macbeth after the battle. Their voices echoed in the wind. Fair is foul, and foul is fair. That same time, Scotland was at war. King Duncan's army was fighting rebels and foreign invaders. On the battlefield, two generals stood out: Macbeth and his friend Banquo. They fought bravely, slashing through the enemy until victory was won as they returned from battle. Exhausted but proud, they came upon the three witches. The strange women greeted Macbeth in a way that startled him. Thane of Glamis, they said, which was his current title. Thane of Cotter, which surprised him because he had not yet received it. And finally, King of Scotland. They turned to Banquo and spoke as well. You shall not be king, but your children shall rule after you, before either man could question them. The witches vanished into the mist. Moments later, messengers from the king arrived. They told Macbeth that he had indeed been given the title of Thane of Cotter, just as the witches had said. The prophecy was beginning to come true. Macbeth's heart began to beat with dangerous thoughts. Could he really be king one day? The temptation of power, Macbeth hurried home and wrote a letter to his wife, telling her everything. Lady Macbeth read his words with excitement. She knew her husband was brave, but she feared he was too kind to take what fate promised. In her mind, destiny must be seized, not waited for. Not long after, King Duncan announced that he would spend the night in Macbeth's castle. Lady Macbeth saw this as the perfect chance. She welcomed Duncan warmly, her face sweet and kind, but her heart cold and determined. That night she urged Macbeth to kill the king. Macbeth hesitated. Duncan had always trusted him, treated him with honor, and had done nothing to deserve such a fate. But Lady Macbeth's words cut deep. She mocked his courage, questioned his love, and told him that true manhood meant daring to reach for greatness. At last, Macbeth gave in. When the castle lay silent, Macbeth crept into Duncan's chamber and plunged his dagger into the sleeping king. His hands dripped with blood, his mind filled with terror. Shaking, he returned to his wife, whispering that he could hear voices crying out against him. But Lady Macbeth remained cold and calm. She smeared the blood onto Duncan's guards and told Macbeth to wash his hands and forget. By morning, the castle was in chaos. Duncan's death was discovered, and the land was thrown into mourning. His sons, Malcolm and Donalbain, fled in fear, and with them gone, suspicion fell on them. Soon after, Macbeth was crowned the new king of Scotland. The weight of the crown at first. Macbeth believed the crown would bring him happiness, but peace did not follow him to the throne. Remembered the witch's prophecy about Banquo's descendants becoming kings. The thought tortured him. He had killed Duncan only to give the crown to another man's children. To prevent this, Macbeth hired assassins. He invited Banquo and his son Fleance to a feast, but sent murderers to kill them on the way. Banquo was struck down, but Fleance escaped into the dark. That night, as Macbeth sat at the head of his feast, he suddenly froze. In Banquo's seat, he saw the ghost of his murdered friend. Pale and bloody, the ghost stared at him silently. Macbeth shouted, trembled, and pointed, but no one else could see the vision. His guests whispered nervously, and Lady Macbeth tried to calm him. But the king's strange behavior left everyone uneasy. The crown was his, but fear had become his companion. The second prophecy, desperate for certainty, Macbeth returned to the witches. They showed him visions and gave 3 warnings. Beware of Macduff, the nobleman. No man born of a woman shall harm Macbeth. He shall not be defeated until Birnam Wood comes to his castle at Dunsinane. Macbeth felt relieved. every man is born of a woman, and forests cannot walk. He believed he was safe, but still he feared Macbeth. To be sure, he ordered the murder of Macduff's wife and children. This act of cruelty shocked Scotland and turned many against him. Meanwhile, Macduff had fled to England, where he joined Malcolm, the rightful heir. Together, they raised an army to march against the tyrant king. The madness of Lady Macbeth. While Macbeth prepared for war, Lady Macbeth began to crumble. Once cold and strong, she was now haunted by guilt. At night, she walked in her sleep, rubbing her hands as though to wash away blood that was never there. She whispered, "Out, damned spot. Out, I say." But the stain was not on her skin, it was on her soul. Her mind broke under the weight of guilt. And soon she died, whether by sickness or by her own hand, no one could be sure. The final battle. Macbeth received the news of his wife's death with numbness. His heart had grown cold. He clung to the witch's prophecy, certain that no man could kill him, but the enemy was marching. Malcolm's army approached Dunsinane. To hide their numbers, they cut branches from Birnam wood and carried them as camouflage. From the castle walls, it looked as though the forest itself was moving toward them. The prophecy was coming true. The battle began. Macbeth fought fiercely, filled with fury, cutting down soldiers one after another. Yet the tide turned against him. Finally, he faced Macduff. With pride, Macbeth laughed. "No man born of a woman can harm me." But Macduff answered, "I was. From my mother's womb, untimely ripped. He had been delivered by caesarean birth, not in the natural way." Macbeth's heart sank. The witch's riddle had deceived him. In one final clash, Macduff struck him down. The tyrant king was dead. Malcolm was crowned the rightful king. Peace returned to Scotland. The story of Macbeth is the story of ambition gone too far. A brave warrior became a murderer. A king became a tyrant, and a husband and wife were destroyed by the weight of their own guilt. It is a warning that power gained by blood cannot last, and that no man can escape the justice of fate. In the end, Macbeth's rise was quick, but his fall was certain. His story still echoes today, reminding us that true greatness is not in seizing power, but in living with honor and wisdom. Asterisk, thanks for watching. If you really like the story, please do like, share, subscribe, comment on my channel World Stories. See you on the next video.